So I got a great question the other day about the two types of experiences people have when it comes to nothingness. One is an almost entirely positive experience, and this is the kind of space consciousness that Eckhart Tolle talks about, the emptiness and void that Buddhism talks about, and it can hit people very unexpectedly. So astronauts have talked about, not particularly going in as spiritual people, but then when they were confronted with the absolute emptiness of space, it had a completely transformative effect on their consciousness. So much that at least a couple of them ended up spending the rest of their lives talking about the transformative experience of emptiness and space. On the other hand, you've got the negative side of it, nihilism and an absolute lack of meaning when people think of nothingness. And so, how can one thing evoke two completely different reactions from the human psyche? Well, some of it gets traced back to the phrase nothing. And when I write, when I use the word nothing, I often put a space between no and thing to kind of reflect the origins of the phrase nothingness or no thingness. And that's really what nothingness is. It's an absence of things. And the reason the thinking mind, so let's go with the negative experience first. The reason the thinking mind has such a difficult time with nothingness, that is, no thingness, is because things give the thinking mind its very existence. So, an absence of things means an death to the thinking mind. So, that's one of the reasons the thinking mind can't find meaning in no things, because the thinking mind actually finds what it thinks is meaning in things themselves. And we find this in Western society where the thinking mind keeps trying to acquire things. We keep trying to um, fill that void with things under the assumption that if we fill the space with enough things, we'll actually create meaning. So it's a completely misguided path because we know, there's really good work on this, that this kind of materialistic value system makes people unhappy. And there's really good evidence that's a cross-cultural phenomenon. And so things don't make you happy. But at the same time, the absence of things is the very thing that the thinking mind um, equates with death. So let's look at the positive side of it. Well, if you enter this state of no thingness or no nothingness without the thinking mind's judgment, that's when you get the other end of the spectrum. That's when you get the other type of experience of what we might call enlightenment or the space consciousness, the overwhelming positive side of the experience. And where that's coming from is once we've kind of swept clear all the things that attract the attention of the thinking mind, and then we focus our attention on empty space, what we find is that there really is no emptiness in empty space. Yes, there are no things, but it's not devoid of experience and it's not devoid of existence. In fact, that's where we find our actual existence. Because when you clear out all the clutter, all the mind clutter, all the thing clutter, and we get to absolute empty space, what we find is pure awareness, pure consciousness, which is the essence of our being. And that is why we connected so effortlessly with meaning and what we might call enlightenment. And that's why when they enter this no thing state without the thinking mind, it feels blissful. It feels like absolute love and non-judgmental compassion and all the positive things we can possibly put with the absence of the thinking mind. So that's the way I look at the two states. It really depends on, are you dragging the judgmental thinking mind into the emptiness and the void? If you are, it's going to be terrified because there are no things for it to lock its attention to and give what it thinks is its meaning. If you can enter that state without the thinking mind, then you find that all the clutter has been cleared and you can actually experience pure awareness without content. And I think that's what totally talks about with space consciousness. Um, the truth be told, there's no really good phrase for it because everything I'm talking about here has to be filtered through the thinking mind, but we can come kind of close.